Here's the truth. Raw land can be inexpensive when you buy it. It becomes expensive when you prepare it. Most people think building starts when the foundation goes in. It doesn't. Building starts the day you try to drive onto your land and realize that you can't. Before you pour concrete or frame a wall, you could already be $5,000 to $10,000 in just trying to make the land usable. Today I'm going to show you the 4 hidden infrastructure costs that add to your budget before you ever build anything. All right, number 1 is access. Raw land is not always accessible land, and that sounds simple, but it's not. When you look at a listing photo, you see trees and a nice little clearing and you see potential, but here's what you don't see: whether you can actually get equipment onto that property. If there's no driveway, you're going to need one. And not just for your convenience, you're going to need access for concrete trucks, delivery of the framing materials, septic installers, power company trucks, and who knows what else. And if they can't reach the build site, then the project stops before it starts. Now let's talk about what putting in a driveway actually means. It usually starts with clearing. That might mean cutting brush and removing small trees, or it might mean bringing in a dozer to cut through thick timber. Then comes the grading. Land is rarely perfectly sloped for vehicle traffic. Water has to drain properly. The driveway needs to shed water, not trap it. Because let's face it, if you don't shape it correctly, you won't just have a driveway, you'll have a mud trench every time it rains. And then you have to add gravel. People say, I'll just get a few loads of gravel. Listen, gravel isn't bought casually. It's bought by the ton. And to figure out how many tons you need to figure out how deep your gravel needs to be. You might need 4 inches or 6 inches, sometimes 8 inches if it's softer soil. And a 300-foot driveway that's 12 foot wide with 6 inches of gravel can easily take 80 to 120 tons of gravel. That's not an exaggeration, that's math. And gravel isn't just the material cost, it's the trucking, delivery fees, and if the quarry is 40 minutes away, you're paying for that distance. And distance matters in land development. Now let's talk about culverts. If your property has a ditch at the road or a small creek, you may be required to install a culvert pipe. And in some counties, you can't just cut through the ditch, not by yourself anyway, you have to get a permit. Sometimes they require specific pipe diameters and inspections, and that could cost a few $100s plus the installation fees. Then there's the possible entrance permit itself. Some counties, they charge for driveway access. Some require a specific setback from the intersections. These are small line items until they're not. Now let's talk about slope. If the land slopes steeply from the road, you may need additional grading to keep the driveway safe and passable. A steep driveway isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous for heavy trucks. And if a concrete truck refuses to drive up it, you're paying for pumping concrete instead. So access is not just about getting in, it's about making sure heavy equipment can safely and legally reach your build site. Driveways are permanent infrastructure. If you rush it, if you skimp on gravel, if you don't shape it properly, you'll repair it over and over and over again. Washboarding, ruts, erosion, especially if you're in clay soil. So when I say a rural driveway can run $3,000 to $8,000, that's not to scare you, that's to educate you. In some areas, it's less, and in others, especially longer driveways, it's more. The point isn't the exact number, the point is this: access is the first real money that you'll spend before septic, power, and framing. You don't pour footings until trucks can reach the land, and you don't drill a well until equipment can reach your land. And you don't build anything until access exists. So when you evaluate raw land, one of the first questions that you should ask yourself is, how much will it cost to make this property usable? Not livable, usable. Those are 2 different conversations. Usable land is land you can build on. Livable land comes later. And if you run the numbers honestly here, on clearing, grading, gravel, on permits, you'll make a calmer decision. Land doesn't surprise you when you measure it. It surprises you when you assume. And smart builders always measure first. That is exactly why I put together a simple infrastructure worksheet, not to complicate things, just to help you run those numbers before you buy. It's linked below if you'd like to grab it. That brings us to the second hidden cost, power. And this can catch people off guard because when you're scrolling land listings and you see those two words, power available, that feels comforting, like good, one less thing to worry about. But power available and power at my build site are two completely different conversations. Here's where distance can matter more than price per acre. If your land is sitting 300 feet from the nearest pole, that's one number. If it's 900 feet back in the woods, that's a whole different number. And I don't mean a small difference. I mean a real difference. Utility companies don't price electricity based on how excited you are about your tiny home. They price it based on infrastructure. They price it based on how much wire they have to run, how much labor it takes, whether they need equipment, whether they need a transformer, and whether there's even capacity on the line that you're tying into. In some areas, they'll give you a certain amount of footage for free, and after that, you're paying per foot. And that per foot number might not sound scary until you multiply it by 600 or 800 or even 1,000 feet, and then you realize the land didn't suddenly get more expensive, the distance did. And that's before we even talk about transformers. If there's not enough capacity on the nearest pole, you may need a transformer. And sometimes the power company covers it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll split the cost, and sometimes they don't tell you until you're already way down the road in the middle of the process. Another thing to think about is overhead power versus underground power. Overhead is usually cheaper, but it's not always allowed. Some counties want underground service. Some subdivisions require it. Some rural areas don't care, but if you go underground, now you're trenching. And trenching can depend on the soil, how much it costs, whether it's sandy soil or rocky, or whether you hit hard pan. If your build site's deep in the trees, trenching can get expensive. And if you haven't installed a driveway yet, you're trenching through mud. You want to coordinate your trenching with your driveway prep so you're not digging up finished work later, and all of that takes planning. What about your service size? Are you putting in a small 100 amp panel because it's just a tiny house and you think you probably won't need much, or are you putting in 200 amps because you're planning ahead? Maybe you're thinking about a shop later, a mini split system, electric water heater, or you're not sure yet, but you want room to grow. That decision affects your meter base. It affects your panel, your equipment, your electrical costs, and sometimes even what the utility company requires. And yes, you'll probably need an electrician before the power company even shows up. You'll need a meter base installed, you'll need inspection approvals, you'll need coordination. So when you see power at the road, that's good. It's definitely better than not having it, but it's not the full picture. The real question is not, is power available? The real question is, how much will it cost to bring the power to where I actually plan to build? Because that's what matters. The listing doesn't show that, the photos don't show that, but it's there. And here's the truth. This isn't about being afraid of land. I don't want you to worry that everything is going to cost more than you thought. I just want you to measure honestly. Electricity is permanent infrastructure. Once that's in, it adds value, it makes the property usable, and it's part of the long-term setup. So it's not wasted money, it's money well spent. But if you don't ask about the distance, and if you don't call a utility company, and you don't get a rough idea before you close on that property, then you're guessing. And land is expensive to guess on. Smart builders measure the real costs before they measure excitement. Now let's talk about hidden cost number 3, water. Water is one of those things that people treat like a small detail in the beginning. Like, well, we'll drill a well, or I'm sure there's public water somewhere nearby, and they just move on. But water isn't a small detail, it can be a big variable. And variables are what move budgets. If you're drilling a well, you're paying per foot. That's just how it works. The drilling company charges you per foot of depth, and you don't know the final number until they drill. There are ways to get a guesstimate. You can ask neighbors how deep their wells are, and you can look at well logs in the county. You can get a general idea, but until that bit goes into the ground, you don't actually know. Some properties hit water at 120 feet. That's one kind of invoice. Others don't hit water until 350 or 400 feet, sometimes deeper, depending on the area. And that is a whole different kind of invoice. It can mean a difference of thousands of dollars, and it's not just depth. You've got the pump, the pressure tank, electrical to the well, trenching from the well to the house site, sometimes adding filtration if the mineral content is high, all things that you need to consider. And then there's the possibility that the drill and the yield is not what you hoped for. And that's rare in many areas, but it does happen. And sometimes it can mean drilling deeper, and sometimes it means adjusting expectations. Now, if public water is available, that can simplify things, just like our county water here. But it doesn't mean it's free. There's still a tap fee, meter installation fee, and those can really vary depending on the county. Then, of course, you got the trenching from the road to your build site, which brings us right back to distance again. And if you're building 500 feet off the road for privacy, that trench is 500 foot long. Distance shows up everywhere. And here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Water placement affects your entire layout on a piece of land. Where the well goes, where the house sits, where the septic goes, where the driveway runs, these things all interact. You don't just randomly put them wherever looks good on a sketch. They have separation requirements, health department spacing rules, and setbacks. So when you're evaluating raw land, you're not just asking, is water available? You're asking, what will it realistically cost to secure reliable water at my build site? Water is foundational, and again, this isn't fear, it's sequence. Land feels simple when you're looking at trees and open sky, but once you start turning it into a build site, you realize how many invisible systems have to come together. First access, power, water, none of them are glamorous, all of them cost money, and if you run those numbers honestly before you close, you make calmer decisions. And that's the part people underestimate. Water isn't complicated, it's just not predictable. And when you're working with land, unpredictability costs money. Now, once you've figured out access, once you've thought through the power, and once you've understood what water might realistically cost, there's one more thing that changes budgets, and this one surprises people the most. Our fourth hidden cost, clearing, because pretty land and build-ready land are not the same thing. You can stand on a property and think, this is perfect. Trees, shade, privacy, but trees don't move themselves. Stumps don't just disappear. If the land hasn't already been cleared, someone has to clear it. That might be selective clearing. It might be a full pad cut. If you've got 20 mature trees in your build envelope, that's not just chainsaw work, that's stump grinding, pulling, and stump removal is usually priced per stump. And you're not just clearing space for the house, you're clearing space for the driveway, the septic field, the reserve septic field, the well, drainage paths. Sometimes the build footprint is small, but the disturbed area is much larger. If you're cutting into a slope, you may need fill dirt. Clearing can be a few $1,000s or significantly more, depending on the type of soil, the slope, and the access. And listen, none of this means the land is bad. It just means raw land is raw. It hasn't been shaped yet, and shaping land takes equipment, and equipment time costs money. And anything that costs money needs to be planned for. Here's the truth. Raw land can be inexpensive when you buy it. It becomes expensive when you prepare it. Driveway, power, water, clearing, before you start your build, you may already be $10,000 in, sometimes more. And that's not a warning, it's reality. Land development is not about emotion, it's about sequence. We confirm access first, we confirm utilities second, we confirm feasibility, then we design, then we build. Most people reverse that order. They design first, they dream first, they price windows first, and then the infrastructure surprises them. Smart builders do it differently. They measure first, they get quotes, they confirm costs, they move with a clear plan, and when you do that, you eliminate shock, and that changes everything. If you want something simple to help you run these numbers before you buy, I've linked a worksheet down below. It's just a tool to help you think clearly. It'll help you measure first, confirm your costs, and then move forward with confidence. That's how you build smart.